I need to leave in 15 minutes and I'm spiraling already. But this is, I guess, what you do when you pack for something that is kind of like a childhood dream come true, but you don't know exactly what's going on. Let's go figure it out. Conundrum number one is what the hell to pack. All right, I got nothing but basically Mets gear out, which is obviously a good thing, but there does need to be some sort of strategy about how cold it's gonna be, all the other things that I'm gonna wanna capture, what's just gonna look cool on camera. Try not to overthink it, but I've already overthought everything and potentially underplanned everything too, but here we go. Oh man. Should have left 10 minutes ago, but we're gonna be okay. We're excited. We are still rookie creators in the grand scheme of things. I'm doing this by myself too, so try to give myself some grace, take a deep breath, think of the kid in me that's just gonna be beyond ecstatic to be there, be thoughtful, and also try to channel every single Met fan that's gonna be like, that was awesome, and how do I make them proud for how I handle this? So running around like a New Yorker, I think, is part of it, right? I'm trying to do all the things, so let's go. I think we're packed. Holy shit. This is really happening. Oh my God. No way, no way, no way. We are here. That was an absolute cluster to get here, but we are here. I'm gonna try my ass off to shoot this from 8,000 different perspectives. I don't know what to say. Good Lord, is this surreal? I mean, on what planet? On what planet?
We operate everything from up in this room here, all the content that changes throughout every inning break, every hit, every home run. That is all triggered content from up here, along with we have 6 hard cameras, 4 RF cameras, and all the graphics and everything is queued for our in-house up here. Everything that hits the main scoreboard, the right field board, the backboard, and all the ribbon boards throughout the ballpark. So,
yeah. I just had folks come up here and tell me to turn on the main board to shoot something, and now it's happening to tell me to turn it off.
So, good afternoon. I don't even remember the last time we checked in. We made it, we're here, we're in the team store. This is overwhelming to say the least on every different level. Where to sit, where to pretend to sleep, where to really sleep, snacks. But then you come in here and you have the whole place to yourself. I mean, where do we begin? But let's shop. So if you had access to Citi Field and you could come to the team store with nobody else, what are you getting? What should I get? You can't answer that question now. I'm kind of just thinking out loud. I mean, a jersey's probably necessary. I mean, there's jackets. Do I need layers? I mean, I need pajamas, kind of. So there's some practical shopping that needs to happen too. I don't think they have sleeping bags. I did bring my own, but a sleeping bag would have been fantastic. But I don't think that they assume that somebody's going to come here and like need toiletry kits and sleeping bags and that kind of stuff. But let's keep looking around. Just overwhelming, like where to even begin. We got a blanket, we got a pillow, we got some gloves, got something for Kelly, something for Evelyn, and I think we did a decent job of going through, not getting too much, but also being smart about the opportunity to be here and just wander around and have all of the fun in the world, being inside the Citi Field team store in the dead of winter. From shopping to the press room, it's intimidating to have a step and repeat behind you. Step and repeat being the thing behind us. That's what they call it when the logo pattern looks like that. And then you know it's like something formal, it's a red carpet, or it's a press room like this. I can only imagine what it's like during the season and the questions, and you always see just the sound bites that come out of this. So again, to be here in the dead of winter, and the attention to detail of the history of the club that's just everywhere too. Very surreal. Let's see. We arrived by train, planes, trains, and automobiles to be more specific. We got a little bit of a tour. We had a chance to see what it might be like to try to sleep in the seats. Totally stocked up on goodies now. Something for the wife, something for my daughter. I think I'm good relative to sleeping parts and pieces for the evening. And now we're here in the press room. And it's not just sitting here at the desk being able to see the step and repeat behind me, but it's about the empty chairs in front of me and thinking about all the games that happened throughout the course of a season, throughout the course of the team's history, the questions that might have been asked that were brilliant and brought out some of the best sound bites that we've ever heard. Some of the ones that were in really frustrating moments, the lowest of the lows, and then when the magic starts to kick in. So obviously there's so much that happens on the field, but the more you spend time in the places where you don't get to spend time in around here, the more you genuinely feel the magic of what the entire franchise is. The people that work here, the stories that are told, how those stories come to life. The people that have spent their entire careers sitting in these chairs, asking people that have spent their entire careers sitting in this chair after doing what they do on the field. There is so much to wrap your head around for this entire experience already, and I've been here for like an hour. But so far, within an hour, I can genuinely say this. The respect and appreciation for the New York Mets has grown astronomically already, because you get more of a sense of the human element to what goes into making this tick. You get more of a sense as to what it's like to have to go and clean up in the scoreboard operations room in the off season, restocking the shelves, how chaotic, what the energy must be like in this room sometimes, both for the good, bad, and the brilliant. And you see the posters on the wall, you see some of the art, you see the logo in all kinds of different iterations, but it's always the New York Mets. And it has this weird galvanizing feeling to it, where even when you see the words Shea Stadium, just like everything from 1962 until today, and even before then, it's wild. This has been a crazy experience already, and it's only been an hour. Visiting Clubhouse. This is, man, very surreal to even think about the things that have occurred in here after things have been celebrated that we definitely did not want to have celebrated here. Moments where some of the greatest players in the history of the game jumped in the shower and said, I cannot believe that we just got beat by the Mets. I mean, even just the visitors' clubhouse is a very wild experience. You just even think of the last postseason and some of the greatest names in the game that came through here and some of the things that they experienced. I think that, where did I put it? I think one of the Phillies, I know they weren't the last club in here, but this looks like a Philly sock. So whoever from the Phillies left your sock here, I'm taking it. I'm trying super hard not to stop every 10 seconds and say something to the camera. So I'm capturing a ton, obviously, for TikTok and Instagram. We were just in the umpires room, we're in the visitors locker room, we're now in the cafeteria. One of the neatest parts about this is I was kind of reflecting on in the quiet room, but this is an active workplace. I'm trying to be cognizant of that as I go through it. I'm trying to storytell and bring some magic to the TikTok and Instagram world as well. But yeah, no, people are here busting their butt to make the season great for everybody, because so much happens to make an organization really be a world-class organization that even happens on February 5th, even when we're so far away from opening day, but not too far away. There are far more people working here today than I would have ever expected. We are in section 301, I believe 302, and God, play all the music through the speakers, but I mean, I don't know what to say. You can probably guess where I am now. Was it the opening line? Well, we're in the dugout, and it is wild to sit here. I don't know how many times I've used the word wild to try to describe this, but I mean, I absolutely could not imagine how wild it would be to stand here for real. Like, this is your job. That's been one of the craziest things that I've always found so fascinating about professional sports. As a kid that was insistent, as a lot of kids are, that, oh, I'm 1,000% going to become a professional athlete. The idea that your day-to-day job is to come and perform in front of all of these people, and they get cheered and they get booed. This is why being a Mets fan means life hits a little different. It's 4:02 in the morning after Pete Alonso was reportedly re-signed. Good morning, my name is Tim, and yes, I actually slept here last night. I needed a quiet place to get away to do some writing, and the Mets were kind enough to let me come crash. This is what it was like to live at Citi Field for a minute, but in the dead of winter. I tried to stick to my normal routine of getting up and immediately getting to work, and at some point that morning before the sun even came up, almost like an alarm clock, the scoreboards magically came on. I was up in Empire Suite 217, and by the time the sun started to come up, I was ready to go for a run. I think it's something around 4 laps that makes for a mile, and definitely be careful on Shea Bridge if it's been snowing. If you count the Goyas, it helps you keep track of how far you've gone. Strava definitely got a little confused, but then I was ready to explore and see if I couldn't find some weights. I got pretty comfortable with the layout of the stadium on day 1, so on day 2 I knew where to go for the visitors' weight room. A great playoff run starts in the off-season, as they say. And I don't know if it was Freddie or Shoei that had this all racked up, but gentlemen, please re-rack your weights. Then the bigger question became, where the hell do I shower? The visitors' coach's room would have been more than suitable, and thank goodness I even found a clean towel too, because I forgot to pack one. But first, back to my room, make my bed, pick out the clothes for the day, and grab my toiletry kit, and then a last-minute change of plans. I'm going straight for the visitors' locker room. While it's obviously not the same as the Mets clubhouse, it's pretty cool to think of all the amazing players that have been here, and absolutely hilarious to then shower here. The amenities were spectacular. I mean, who doesn't love a good aqua velva in a locker room? Brand new Citi Field tee, and what my wife calls my Mets blouse. I did get a bit lost on my way out of the locker room though, which I was more than fine with except for the fact that the door locked behind me. But I could see my house from here, so a pretty easy trip back. And after a bit of breakfast, it was back to the point of being here in the first place. Because I was raised a Mets fan, I'm steeped in appreciation, and I'm writing a book about the topic. And of all the places I could go away to think for a couple of days, Citi Field in the dead of winter was my #1 choice. And as much as I have loved my stay here, I do have a family, so I should pack up and go home pretty soon. But what an absolutely amazing experience, especially to be able to say that I was actually sleeping here the night it was reported Pete's coming home. This is, after all, the way that I was raised, and the way that I'm raising her. So farewell to my cabin in the woods. The countdown is officially on till the start of the season. Thanks for keeping me company during my stay. I know I was here by myself, but it never felt like I was, which is why it's so easy to say. Well, well, well. Good morning from Citi Field. I have no idea when I left this off last. It's so difficult to capture all of this stuff from so many different angles, especially because I'm so used to just doing short form, and then obviously like the editing and the turning it around, but also like the timing of the storytelling. Wanted to show you, even though it's late in the morning now, it's just after 7 o'clock. I've been up since 4, and here's kind of the scene that we got right now. For a minute, the Jumbotron and the scoreboards were on. It looks a lot lighter than it actually is, at least there. Still kind of dark. We've got lovely snow coverage. It really is a beautiful day in Flushing, New York. It's still quite cold. That was the humble abode for the evening. Man, I do wish, now that I'm seeing this like this, that I would have done a better job of capturing all of this in 16:9 for y'all, but hopefully that's not the last time I get to do something like this and can get smarter, and probably need some help. I probably need some help next time to map out in a more specific way how the hell do I make the most of opportunities like this. So anyway, I'm a bit tired. I stayed up way too late trying to edit a couple pieces, especially because Pete Alonso got re-signed last night. How wild that happened while I was sleeping here. And now it's time to go find some miles. I told myself I'm gonna keep to the usual routine, so let's see if we can run a mile, go to the gym, and then run 4 more miles inside Citi Field. This is why being a Mets fan means life hits a little different. My name is Tim, and I'm spending the night at Citi Field tonight. Yes, I know it's February, and it's about 25 degrees outside, but let me explain, it kind of makes sense. You see, I was born and raised a Mets fan by this guy. He was born and raised a Dodger fan. One of my first games at Shea was the 1988 NLCS, and I've seen more gems and heartbreaks in Flushing than I can count. I used to buy single-ticket games to come by myself all the time, or with my friend Jeff. Some of you know that story. My family and I were even in the 7-Line Army at one point. This was my daughter's school picture this year. I'm also a random 40-something corporate schmuck who fell backwards into TikTok in 2020. It got out of control before I knew what was going on. I got a book deal and responsibly fired myself. I've never done this before, but I've heard that authors sometimes get a cabin in the woods to help them concentrate on their writing. Makes sense. But if I get to pick where I stay for a bit of solitude, focus, and inspiration, I'm picking Citi Field. And luckily the Mets were cool with it. Now I gotta figure out things like what to pack, where to sleep, where can I drum up any beer or popcorn in the off season, are there any ghosts, does the Apple work in the winter? So come hang out. This should be amazing. Which is precisely why. One of the biggest lessons learned in this is actual organization. This is gonna be, if this actually turns into a YouTube, it's gonna be all over the map because I wasn't super organized going in. The short form stuff I did was really fun, and I think turned out well. But from an overall storytelling perspective, I kind of did a crappy job in that I didn't figure out what the hell was the best process relative to talking to the camera, but then also creating the voiceless magic version, I'll say, and why can't I do both? Aside from that, I mean, what an absolutely incredible experience. I can't believe I'm like checking out now, but I don't know if they did this for me, but Hotel California has been playing almost all day. Dear New York Mets, thank you so much for having me as a guest. That was an absolutely magical experience. I would 1000% do this again. I would actually like to figure out a way that we can make this some sort of annual tradition. I had everything I need, warm place to sleep, tons of adventures to go out on, and as luck and as the Miracle Mets in typical fashion would, we had one of our biggest re-signings ever yesterday. I don't know how to close this appropriately. Should probably be the last shot because I gotta pack up and get my butt out of here. I've already been here way longer than expected and I need to go home. But if you watch this, thank you for being part of the experience for whatever the hell I taped on this side. Hopefully I was able to patch it together. I should say Sloan was able to patch it together with a bunch of the vertical stuff that I shot. Sports is one of the most special things that we have as humans. Fact. The way that it can bring us together, the way that it can make us feel is really unlike anything else. It's the greatest reality TV, if you're watching on TV, that there is. There's also construction happening behind me. The point of me saying that is that when we feel like there's not a lot of magic in the world, sports is usually a place that we can go where magic just all of a sudden occurs. But don't forget, it's what you make of the magic, it's what you make of the experience, it's what you make of your fandom. So I'll leave it at that as Hotel California starts again for the umpteenth time. Thank you again to the Mets organization for allowing me to do this. Thank you for watching for however long you watched, for however long this was. I hope to see you at a baseball stadium this summer. Thank you for being part of this experience.